Just last week, this site picked up an honorable mention over on awards, and it earned it. The whole thing is full of sharp scroll work, but the piece that stuck with me was the hero right at the top. You start scrolling and everything moves at once, but in layers. The wall of images eases back and shrinks into a tidy grid. A logo in the corner swells up and climbs the screen. A line of text arrives, one word at a time. And then, just as it all settles, the entire hero dims and lifts away, letting the next section rise up to take its place. That last move, one full screen section handing off to the next as you scroll, is something you've probably felt on a dozen sites, without stopping to ask how it's put together. That's exactly why it seemed worth pulling apart. So I rebuilt a stripped down version of it. Same rhythm, same handoff, and that's what we're making today. The whole thing runs on one idea. ScrollTrigger and Linus track how far you've scrolled, and every animation, the scaling, the rising logo, the fading text is just a different slice of that single number. Once that clicks, layering these effects gets surprisingly simple. If you'd like to grab the source code for this project, along with hundreds of other similar micro projects and a brand new website template every month, you can check out the Pro membership via the link in the description. And if you find my work helpful, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, let's get into the code. The markup here is nice and simple. First of all, the logo. Just above everything else, I'll add a div with a class of logo and drop an image inside it holding our logo SVG. This is the little mark that sits in the corner and grows up the screen as you scroll. Next, the sections. Below the logo, I'll lay down 3 empty sections stacked top to bottom. The hero, where the whole spotlight effect happens, then a studio section and a connect section underneath. These last two are really just there to scroll into view once the hero is done. Then, inside the studio and connect sections, I'll drop a single H1 into each, one reading studio, the other reading connect. Nothing fancy, just placeholder headings, so we've got something to see when they slide up. Now let's build out the hero, which is where all the real work is. First, inside the hero, I'll add 2 divs, a hero inner that holds all our moving content, and a hero overlay sitting right after it. The overlay is left completely empty because it's just a black panel will fade in later to darken the whole hero as it lifts away. Next, inside the hero inner, I'll add 3 more divs, the hero spotlight gallery, which holds our wall of images, then the hero header for the headline and button, and the hero footer for the little tagline along the bottom. Everything inside hero inner is what moves together as one block later on. Then, the gallery itself. Inside the hero spotlight gallery, I'll add 3 columns, each with a class of hero spotlight column. These 3 columns sit side by side and make up the grid of images you see filling the screen. Next, we'll fill those columns. Inside each hero spotlight column, I'll add 3 items with a class of hero spotlight item, and each item wraps a single image. So that's 3 images per column, 9 in total, running from image 1 through to image 9. These are the photos that scale down and settle into place as the section animates. Then, the header. Inside the hero header, I'll add an H3 with our headline copy and just below it an anchor tag for the call to action. This is the text that fades in word by word, with the button arriving right at the end. And finally, the footer. Inside the hero footer, I'll drop a single H5 with a short tagline, just a small line of text sitting in the corner that scales back and blurs away early in the scroll. And that's the markup done. Next, let's get to the styling. First, the housekeeping. I'll pull in our font up top, then run a quick universal reset, zeroing out the margins and padding and switching everything over to border box sizing. Then, a small rule for images, so they always fill their box and cover it properly since we've got a lot of them across the hero. And I'll set our font on the body, so everything inherits it from the start. Next, the shared type styles. All the headings get the same base treatment, a medium weight, a tight line height, and a little negative letter spacing to pull them in. Then each heading level gets its own fluid size, so they scale smoothly with the screen, the H1 being the largest, down to the H5 as the smallest. Then the button. I'll give the call to action its look, a bright background with dark text, some padding, and softly rounded corners. And here's an important bit. I'll set it to 0 opacity from the start because we're going to fade it in later along with the header, so it needs to begin invisible. Next, the sections. Every section is positioned relatively, full width and full viewport tall, with overflow hidden so nothing ever spills outside as things animate around inside. Then the studio and connect sections share most of their look, laid out as centered flex with their text, centered and colored light. After that, each section gets its own background color, a dark tone for the hero, and their own distinct shades for Studio and Connect, so they read as separate panels as they scroll into view. Now the hero itself, which is where most of the styling lives. First, the spotlight gallery. I'll position it absolutely and center it in the hero. Then deliberately make it larger than the screen, wider and taller than the viewport, so it spills out in every direction. I'll lay it out as a flex row with a gap between the columns, and add will change on transform, since this is the element we'll be scaling constantly. Next, the columns. Each spotlight column flexes to share the space evenly and becomes its own vertical flex stack with a matching gap, so the images inside sit one above another down the column. Then the items inside each column. Every spotlight item flexes to fill its share of the column, gets positioned relatively, and has overflow hidden. That overflow is the key, because it's what lets us oversize the image inside and hide the excess, which sets up the parallax later. Next, the images themselves. Each one is positioned relatively and starts slightly scaled up, bigger than its container, since the item around it is clipping the overflow. That extra size stays hidden for now, ready to ease back down as the section animates. Now the logo, I'll fix it to the bottom left corner so it stays put on screen no matter where you scroll. Give it a small width and start it scaled up several times its size, anchored from its bottom left corner. That transform origin matters because it's what lets the logo grow upward from the corner instead of from its center. I'll also push its z-index up so it always sits above everything else. Next, the hero inner. The wrapper holding all our moving content. It just fills the hero completely and gets will change on transform, since this whole block is what slides up and away at the end. Then the overlay, I'll stretch it across the entire hero, give it a solid black background, and start it fully transparent. I'll also turn off pointer events so it never blocks the cursor, since it's purely a visual layer we fade in to darken things later. Next, the header. I'll center it in the hero, cap it at a comfortable width so the headline wraps nicely, and lay it out as a centered flex column with a gap between the heading and the button. Its text is white and it sits over the gallery in the middle of the screen. Then the footer. I'll pin it down in the bottom right corner, keep it to a small fixed width so it stays a tidy little block, and give it will change on transform, filter, and opacity, since it's going to scale, blur, and fade all at once early in the scroll. After that, one important layout piece. I'll give the studio section a large top margin. That margin is the room the hero needs to scroll through while it's pinned. We'll set the actual pin distance in the script in a moment, and this margin is what gives the page enough height for that scrolling to happen. And finally, a small responsive tweak for narrower screens. I'll start the logo at a smaller scale so it doesn't overwhelm a mobile layout. Let the header go full width with a bit of padding so nothing feels cramped, and re-anchor the footer to the bottom center instead of the corner so it stays neatly in place on a smaller screen. And that's the styling done. Everything's positioned and primed. Next, we'll jump into the JavaScript and bring the whole thing to life. First of all, I'll bring in everything we need at the top. GSAP, which drives all of our animation, then ScrollTrigger, which lets us tie that animation to the scroll position, then split text for breaking our headline into individual words later on, and Linus for the smooth scrolling, then one quick line to register ScrollTrigger and split text as plugins, so GSAP knows about them before we start using them. Next, the smooth scroll setup. I'll create a new Linus instance, then tell ScrollTrigger to update every time Linus scrolls, so the two always agree on where we are on the page. Then I'll hand Linus over to GSAP's own ticker so they run on the same clock, and turn off lag smoothing so nothing stutters on a slow frame. This is my standard Linus and GSAP setup, and it gives us that buttery scrolling for free. Next, the DOM references. I'll grab everything the animation is going to touch, the spotlight gallery, all of the images inside it, the logo, the footer, the hero inner wrapper, the overlay, and the button. I like keeping all of these together in one block up top, so anytime we need to reach for something later, we know exactly where it lives. Next, a little helper called lerp. This one takes a start value, an end value, and a progress between 0 and 1, and just returns the point in between. So if we hand it 0.5, we get back exactly the halfway value. Nearly every animation in this build leans on this, since it's how we turn a progress number into an actual scale or position. Next, a second helper called map range. This one's the real key to the whole project. It takes a value along with a start and an end, and remaps that value into a clean 0 to 1 progress across just that window, clamped so it never spills below 0 or above 1. So if I ask for the progress between, say, 5% and 25% of the scroll, it hands me back a fresh 0 to 1 just for that slice. That's what lets every element run on its own little stretch of the same scroll. Next, the header text. I'll run split text over our headline, breaking it into words and giving each one a word class. Then I'll build a single array holding all of those words with the button added on the very end. So the button is simply the last item in the fade. And right away, I'll set that whole array to 0 opacity, so every word and the button all start invisible, ready to fade in one by one. Next, a couple of timing values for that fade. I'll work out a step, which is the little gap between when each item starts fading, spread evenly across our fade window. Then a duration, which is how long each item takes to fade, and I'll make that a few steps long on purpose. Because the duration is longer than the step, the fades overlap, so 2 or 3 words are always fading in together, instead of strictly one at a time. That overlap is what makes it feel smooth, rather than robotic. Next, the responsive logo scale. The logo starts scaled up big, but that bigger scale is too much on a small screen, so I want it to start smaller there. I'll pull the breakpoint out into a constant, then use GSAP's own match media to handle it. When the screen is narrow, we set the logo start scale to the smaller value, and match media's cleanup function flips it back to the larger value when the screen widens again, so it swaps automatically as the screen crosses that breakpoint, with GSAP managing both directions for us. Next, the heart of it, our first scroll trigger. I'll create one and point it at the hero, starting the moment the hero hits the top of the screen and running for 4 full screen heights of scroll. I'll pin the section so it locks in place while the effect plays, and turn off pin spacing because that big margin we added to the studio section is already giving us the scroll distance we need. Then everything from here lives inside the onUpdate callback, which fires on every frame as you scroll. First thing inside, I'll pull the scroll progress of the trigger. This is a single number that runs from 0 at the very start of the pin to 1 at the very end. Every animation in here is just going to read this one value and map its own little slice out of it. Next, the gallery zoom. I'll map the scroll progress across the first 75%, then use that to lerp the gallery scale from full size down to half. So as you scroll, the whole wall of images eases back and shrinks into place, and it's fully settled by 3/4 of the way through. Next, the parallax on the images inside. Using that same gallery progress, I'll lerp each image from slightly scaled up back down to its natural size. And here's the nice part, because the container is shrinking, while the images inside are also shrinking, but at their own rate, you get this subtle drift, where the photos feel like they're settling within their frames rather than just scaling with everything else. Next, the logo. First, I'll lerp its scale from its big starting size down to 1, again on that same gallery progress, so it shrinks in sync with the gallery. Then the tricky bit, the travel. Since the logo grows from its bottom left corner, its actual height on screen changes as it scales, so I can't just move it a fixed amount. Instead, every frame I work out how tall it currently is. Then measure the distance from the bottom corner up to where it should finish, accounting for the margins on both ends. Then I set its scale and move it up by that distance times the progress, so it scales down and climbs to the top corner together, landing perfectly no matter its size. Next, the footer. This one runs on its own little window, just the first 5 to 25% of the scroll. Across that slice, I'll lerp 3 things at once. Its scale down a touch, a blur from 0 up to a soft blur, and its opacity from fully visible down to 0. So right at the start of the scroll, the little footer tagline shrinks, blurs, and fades itself away, all in one quick move. Next, the header fade. I'll loop over that array of words and the button we set up earlier. For each one, I work out its own start point, stepped along using the step value from before, then map the scroll progress across its own fade duration. Setting each item's opacity to that gives us the staggered, overlapping fade where the words light up one after another, with the button arriving last, all reading straight off the same scroll. Next, our second scroll trigger, and this one handles the hero leaving. I'll point it at the studio section instead, starting when the studio stop enters from the bottom of the screen and ending when it reaches the top. And this time I'll use scrub, so it ties directly to the scroll. Then inside its onUpdate, I'll grab that trigger's own progress. Finally, the 2 moves that carry the hero away. I'll slide the hero inner up by a portion of its height as the studio comes in, so the whole block of content lifts out of the way. And at the same time, I'll fade the overlay from transparent up to fully black, so the hero quietly darkens as it goes, handing the screen over to the section rising up beneath it. And that's the whole build. As you scroll, the gallery scales back with the images drifting inside it. The logo climbs into the corner, the footer blurs away, and the headline fades in word by word before the entire hero lifts and darkens to reveal the next section. All of it driven by one scroll progress, sliced up and shared across every piece. Hope you found this one useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.